Show. It is an open phone hour, whatever you'd like to chat about. 989-752-6111. Be delighted to talk to you this morning. Number of things to talk about. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about some election results from yesterday, particularly in Texas. And I also want to talk about New York City's mayor, Zoltan Mondani, and not in a bad way. And you're hearing that from a New Yorker. But I'll tell you why here when we get to it. First, I want to start out with yesterday. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it appears that the voice of the president when it comes to endorsements still has some clout. Even though polls show his approval ratings are down and all of that stuff. All you have to do is look at Texas yesterday, where longtime Senator John Cornyn lost his primary battle with the person that was supported by the president, State Attorney General Ken Paxton. And even though Paxton has been described as scandal-plagued, although that was dismissed by the Senate, he endorsed the president, and the president endorsed him against Cornyn because Cornyn had stood up against the president on a couple of things. So it does demonstrate that the president still has a fair amount of clout in the Republican Party. It is going to be interesting because now Paxton will have to face the Democrat, in this case, James Tallarico. He's a state rep. And right now, anyway, at least at the moment, there was a poll showing each of them at 45%. I'm guessing that that will change as we move forward. Even though he may not win by the same margin the president won in Texas a couple of years ago, I suspect that Paxton will come out on top, but that's to be seen. And you have to remember, Texas kind of led this parade of let's change our redistricting map. They were the first to do it and help themselves to a stronger base for Republicans. Time will tell how that works out. And, of course, that started an onslaught of states changing their redistricting maps to offset. The first one came along was California because its governor said, well, we're going to offset that and we'll fix that. So California passed its own redistricting, which kind of neutralized the Texas redistricting. Since then, there's been several states that have done it. And overall, at least in analysis of all of these states that have done redistricting, it seems to slightly favor Republicans. Who knows? Who knows? All right, the other thing I want to mention, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, I have always said, no matter whether I support a candidate or don't support a candidate or a politician in office, when they do something good, they deserve the credit for all the other stuff they do. If you're only critical and you can only see negative no matter what they do, I don't think your voice has credibility. You have to recognize when someone does something. And we're going to compare two mayors, different coasts, Seattle and New York. The one in Seattle, she waved goodbye to the billionaires. When Starbucks left, she said bye. And now Seattle is in a huge, huge financial hole, which literally could destroy the beauty of that city, where there's now estimated to be over 40% commercial availability of property. In other words, at least 40, I think it's like 46% of commercial space is empty in Seattle because she's progressive. wants to tax everybody and everything for everything. And the billionaires and those with jobs are moving out. Let us now compare that to New York City. And here's where the surprise is. I am not a supporter of Zoltan Mamdani. And if I lived in New York, I would not vote for Zoltan Mamdani. However, he has just presented his executive budget, which has balanced the New York budget, including shrinking the deficit from $12 billion to zero, because he slimmed down some costs. He had some assistance from Albany, and he did this without cutting government services, tapping into the city's rainy day fund, or raising property taxes as he had threatened to do. Now, was there some sleight of hand or things which may come back to haunt him later? Probably, because one of the things was delaying payments into some pension funds and things of that nature. So there was some, let's call them accounting issues, which led to this. But the reality is, he presented a balanced budget. He had assistance from the governor, Kathy Hochul. He proposed to delay payments to the city's pension funds. And there was some kind of a pied-à-terre tax, among other things. But he got rid of the deficit he inherited from Mayor Eric Adams. So, because I don't like him, do I go poo-poo on you, you know? No. If he actually did this, and if it holds, kudos. More power to you. Now, however, let us understand there is the other side. Many are still complaining about him, noting that the pension gimmicks and temporary fixes are no substitutes for spending prioritization that comes from proper management. Because what they are suggesting is the city is still spending more than it's taking in. In which case, of course, they'll end up in debt down the road. But the fact that he could even put in a budget that was balanced and got rid of the $12 billion deficit is a feather in his cap. I don't care how he did it. And I think that if you are to be honest, and I go back to what I said. I do not have any use for him. I don't like most of his political stance. I certainly don't like how he views race relations and all of those things and religious statements that he's made. I don't like any of that. But I have to give him credit when credit is due. So, what can I tell you? It's going to be interesting to watch. Let's put it this way. We certainly have not heard the last of it. People will be picking it apart forever. Now, let's see how the city moves forward. As opposed to Seattle, where the mayor in Seattle, who had zero experience coming in, is proving it, and where billionaires are abandoning ship as fast as they can. And I just, can't get my head around what she is trying to do in Seattle, which is a fabulous city. It's one of my favorite places. One of my favorite places. As a tourist, I would still go there. As a tourist. But as a citizen, would I ever vote for KDB Wilson, the mayor? Ooh, not a chance. She's a Democratic Socialist, community organizer. She took office in January, and since then has done nothing but tick people off. And it's too bad because, again, Seattle is a fabulous, fabulous city. But it's getting buried in debt. The last I saw was like 140 million billion. I don't remember now. It's a huge deficit that they have. And she's just making it worse because she's chasing away the very people that pay the taxes. When Schultz pulled up Starbucks and moved them out, and he's going to spend, millions and millions of dollars in Tennessee to build a new world headquarters. That should have told her something. It didn't. She stood in front of the camera with a cheeky smile and said, "Bye." Maybe the dumbest political statement ever made by a politician. But she's there. The people of Seattle elected her. And now they got to live with it. That's part of it. And by the way, if she did something good, in the same way that I just gave kudos to Mamdani in New York for balancing their budget, if she did something good, despite my reservations about her in every way, I would say so. I think that's part of criticism. If you are going to constantly be a critic, then at some point you have to acknowledge that not everything your opposition does is bad. It's all part of it. This notion that there are no good ideas on the other side of the aisle is absolute nonsense. There are smart people on both sides of the aisle. They don't often sit down and look for the best parts of the arguments and put it together to come up with some common sense legislation anymore. That's too bad. But I am not an absolutist. There's no such thing as only one side has all the answers. Nonsense. All right, we'll take a break. Lines are open for you if you have anything you'd like to chime in with. 989-752-6111.
Hometown feel and
Hi, welcome back. The Art Lewis Show. Open phones this hour, 989-752-6111. The number to put you in touch with us. You heard the promo about the EVs. There is a new EV on the marketplace. Boy, is it creating a lot of controversy. And don't worry, you won't have to run out and buy one right away. Ferrari, the Italian supercar manufacturer, and probably the most notable mark in the world, has just unveiled an electric Ferrari called the Luce, L-U-C-E, and it is getting beat up like I've never seen Ferrari beat up before by a lot of the world automotive media. Not so much because they built an electric car, but it's the way they did it and what the target audience is. First of all, for those that are not familiar with Ferrari, it is one of the biggest racing supercar manufacturers in the world. And they have produced some phenomenal automobiles, one of which typically is the highest auction and sale price in the world, the 250 GTO from the 60s, regularly sells in private sales from $65 to $70 million. An auction one sold recently for $38 to $40 million, which was low, but it had some issues. It wasn't pure. And then he put out this electric car. First of all, I've seen pictures of it. It's ugly. Not nearly as ugly as the Tesla truck. Don't get me wrong that way. But it's ugly by Ferrari standards. We expect certain design cues from Ferrari. And it doesn't have them. Next is the price. Now, let's understand, all Ferraris are expensive. You're not going to get into a new one for probably under $300,000. And used ones, depending on the car, can be less than sticker to millions of dollars over sticker, because they're also collectible. Many people buy them and never drive them. I wouldn't do that. If I could afford one, I want to drive it. But this new electric, all-electric Ferrari is going to run you at least $500,000 base. And by the time you add options, you're probably looking at another $100,000 in options, which sets you at about a $600,000 level, which is $100,000 more than you can buy a Purosangue for. The Purosangue is their, quote, car they never would build, an SUV. It's a V12. It's got all the. It's been praised as probably one of the best SUVs in the world, and petrol heads are going nuts because petrol heads like big gas V12 engines that Ferrari's been known for. But this thing is ugly, and it's not the fastest electric car in the world either. Now, it does have some technological advancements. They say the suspension system is phenomenal, all of that. But range, no different than anything else. Range, they're estimating at about 320 to 340 miles. But you'll never get that because the minute you turn on anything, your range goes down. I can remember many years ago, I got to drive a couple of SUVs. One of them was a Volkswagen, I think it was the ID4 or something like that. And it supposedly had a range of something like 315 miles, which I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And then I got in and started to drive it. Well, if you turned on the air conditioning, there went 30 or 40 miles of range. Turn on the radio, turn on the lights, turn on anything, and you watched your range disappear, so that by the time I had electrified all the things I was using in the vehicle, my range was down to like 240. I lost about a third of the range just by turning things on. And that's what happens, which is what's leading to what experts call range anxiety. Everybody's afraid of running out of range. So, I am convinced that the world EVs is going to change in the near future, because I think battery technology is going to have a major breakthrough, and we'll see batteries that can run these cars for 500, 600 miles. And that'll get rid of the range anxiety. And we'll start to see support structure put up across the country more than now. But until then, I mean, if you can afford it, would you spend $600,000 just to have a Ferrari EV, which doesn't even look like a Ferrari, and certainly won't act like one with all the wonderful noise Ferrari makes? It boggles my mind. It really does. And I'm not the person who can afford one, but I'm a petrol head at heart, and I just do not understand what they're thinking. Now, what Ferrari says, and from their viewpoint, I can understand that, what they're saying is they don't expect any of their current customers who are petrol heads, who buy V12s and all of that, to jump up and down and buy one of these. They are expecting this will be bought by a whole new audience of young professionals, and they will have a whole new client base because of it. Time will tell. They took a beating in the stock market because of it. I had read that when they made the initial announcement and showed the vehicle, their stock went down about 6%. So time will tell whether Ferrari made the right decision or not. But I just had to chuckle at a $600,000 EV. All right. We'll pause. Lines are open for you. 989-752-6111.
Why is this cover?
All right, back with you here on WSW. Want to move over to the world of sports for a moment. Talk a little bit about the Detroit Tigers. The start has been a little disappointing, to say the least. And the area of disappointment is the late innings of these games. They've been losing in the 8th and 9th inning. They go into the later stages of the game with a lead, and they cannot hold that lead. And I have to lay that on the relief pitching. I don't know where else to put it. I watched Will Vest yesterday give up a grand slam, and it's depressing to watch that. And I'm not going to excuse it away. They got injuries, all that stuff. But the fact is that they can't seem to put a whole game together. And good teams do that. And they started out the season. Remember the first 2 wins? Came back in the late innings. They won the games. And they just don't look like they have it all together. Bats are cold. Torkelson is not doing anything like he's capable of. Now, yesterday he just missed a home run by a few feet to the side of the foul pole. But for the most part, he's not been all that productive. One of the bright spots, though, is McGonigal. He's done everything as advertised. He's a good fielder. He's a good hitter. And so, there are sparks on this team. If they can put all these sparks together, they're going to have lightning in the bottle. And, yeah, they've had pitching problems with starters because of injury. But yet, the starters have not been the problem in these games. The starters have done their jobs. Going anywhere from 5 to 6 2/3, 7 innings, and producing a lead. And then all of a sudden in the 7th, 8th, 9th innings, the lead disappears. So something in that bullpen battery needs to be fixed. They're giving up way too many hits and way too many runs. Now, I'm not a baseball coach. I don't know the intricacies of the game. I just like to watch the game. Oh, and I will say this, too. Something that I thought I would not like, I have actually come to appreciate. The pitch clock. For a long time, when I'd heard about it first a couple of years ago, and the fact that it was being considered, and then it was tried out in the minors, I was against it. It's a human game. Let the human game take its course. But now I've come to like it. I think it's smoothed out the process of the game. It's faster. So I've come to appreciate the pitch clock. The other thing I've come to appreciate is the pitch challenge. Each team gets 2 challenges, can be by the hitter, the pitcher, or the catcher. If they are successful in their challenge of the strike ball call, they keep the challenge. If not, they lose one of their challenges. And here's why I like it. It seems to me, in watching a number of games recently, that it has tightened up the strike zone for the umpires. Because in most of the I think I saw a number of something like 60-40. 60% of the time the umpire is right and the challenge does not overturn their call. But I just think they're calling a tighter strike zone now and more consistent. It's kind of forced them into some kind of unity in terms of what the strike zone is supposed to be. So I'm impressed. It's changed my mind because I was completely against both of them early on. And now the pitch clock and the challenge, okay with me. Okay with me. So just a couple of notes. But I do think somewhere along the line, the Tigers have to shore up the relief pitching because they're giving away too many games at the end. Now, I'm hopeful they still have 2/3 of the season to go. It's not over yet. And last year, you'll remember, they went into the All-Star break dominant. They were 10, 12 games up. They blew that lead in the second half of the season. I'm hoping this year is just the opposite, that they gain their strength and they start to put together long strings of wins as the season wanes on towards September. Time will tell. But I just thought I had to mention that because it's been eating at me watching them give away all these games at the end of the game. All right. Lines are open if you have anything you'd like to add. 989-752-6111.
Ready to update your home?
A few minutes left here and a couple of callers waiting, so let's talk to them now. Talk to Owen in Bay City. Owen, good morning. Owen, you there?
Art, it's Howard.
It's Howard?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It says Owen. All right. Hi, Howard.
All right, Art, I got something to say about catchers in the strike zone.
Yeah.
What irritated me the most about the last few years is how they frame the ball. I'm telling you, once the ball's in the mitt, they frame it, move it. I'm calling it a ball every time, and I don't care what catcher it is.
They've been doing that. They've been doing that for millenniums. I mean,
yes, they have, and getting away with it. But now, when the AI is getting the strike zone now, it's making them more, legal. Let's put it that way.
Well, they can. The umpires. It does not appear to me the umpires are falling for it. They seem to be calling the pitch where the ball lands in the mitt as opposed to where the catcher frames it.
Well, okay, yes, a lot of times, but a lot of times it's out there. I'm telling you, it's to me, I'm calling it a ball. I don't care who it is, and I'd let every catcher know that that's the way it is. You jerk that ball mitt anywhere after the ball is in your glove, it's a ball.
Well,
and I like it now because a lot of them, they got their 2 chances to, appeal the call. And a lot of times you see the batter is right. A lot times, more times than he's not. So at least that keeps it a little more. Because a lot of times that one strike costs you a game.
Yeah. Well, I go back to what I said at the beginning of the discussion, and that is, it seems to me, because of this new AI system, the umpires have tightened up what they're calling strikes now. They've tightened up their strike zone.
Yes, I agree with you there.
So I think it's been a plus.
Yes, I have too, and AI to me is like the future of robot America. Bull crap. You know?
All right.
All right. God bless you, Art, and talk to you later.
Same to you, Owen. Howard. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye
yeah,
now.
I could be an Owen. Yeah, I'm Owen, all right. A lot of people think. Thanks, Art.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And let's talk to Sid in Saginaw. Sid, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Art, I have a question. Maybe it's a rumor. Speaker Johnson is proposing legislation to increase compensation for members of Congress. Is that correct or incorrect?
Haven't heard that. I knew there was a bill floating around to prevent them from being paid if they shut government down. I have not heard about an increase for Congress, but I'll have to check.
All right, that was my question.
I would not be for it. Let's put it that way. Not at this time.
Yeah, you got that right. All right. Thanks so much, Art. Have a great day.
So, thanks. Bye-bye now. I haven't heard that. Yeah, I will have to check to see if that's on the block, so to speak. Well, anyway, just one other sports note. Going on are the World's Cup, the Men's Hockey World Championship. The United States is the defending champion, and they have clinched a spot in the quarterfinals, and they will face arch rival Canada tomorrow. The USA jumped from 6 to the top 4, and Matthew Tkachuk arrived for the team. He missed the first 3 games, and he has helped the USA power play and scored again on Tuesday. The USA and Canada are major hockey rivals, of course, and the rosters are vastly different from their Olympic meeting. Tkachuk is the only U.S. Olympian at the Worlds, and Canada featuring Olympians Macklin Celebrini and Sidney Crosby. But it'll be interesting. Let's cheer on the U.S. in the Worlds, and maybe they will repeat as champions. Take our last break, tell you what's ahead when we return.
Gotta go.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Coming up on Focus, we're going to learn about the Aird Insurance Group. All of that is ahead this morning. But before we get there, we'll have news from ABC bringing you up to date on the nation and the world. Michael Percha is in the WSGW newsroom to fill you in on the region and the state. And then we will be back after that with Focus. Thanks for being with us. I'm Art Lewis.
Broadcasting from the